So doors and openings in ARCHLine.XP. It's a big topic. We want to know how to handle CAD software, doors and windows and openings, and how to create your own, and most importantly, how to use something that was created in another CAD environment or another library. So Iles, can you tell us in a few words what else we are going to talk about today?
We will, first things first, talk about the concept of how you can create a door and a window, how you can place them in the wall, and what sort of easy to use tools there are to be able to customize them, to move them around and flip them perhaps. And we will also create new doors. There are several ways in ARCHLine how you can, based on a model, based on a photograph, based on a measurement, you will be able to create something that appears on screen as a valid door that you can actually open or at least visualize and use for documentation. And at the end, we will also create schedules and an Excel list, so you will be able to see what sort of information you can extract out of the drawing, besides obviously the documentation part, the drawing when you make the intersections and so on.
That's right.
So I have actually a project on screen. This is what we can see now. And first things first, I'm on the first floor of this building and I will place a door and window to be able to demonstrate how it works, how you can place those items.
Yes, how does it all work? So what is the first thing that we have to do if you want to, for instance, position a door over there? What do we do?
In the building part, you can find the door, window and curtain wall in the opening section. Now, when you place a door or a window, you will see the first part here at the top, which is about the mostly used common door and window types that you can actually select and use them. Those will look like these tiny images, but actually that's not the whole library. You will be able to access the whole library when you click on this little blue cross, and then you can actually search for items. You can, if you know the name, like you would like to just find a flush door or something like that, single wing door or something like that, you just type that and you will be able to find. You can actually go to the home of this library, and you can find that there's a door and a window library with in several different categories. Or you can actually just go with a specific door tool, like placing the door. Now, when I'm placing the door, you will see that at the left-hand side, we call these the styles. The styles appear, and based on your selection, you will be able to place a door with a specific size in a load-bearing wall or a partition wall or anywhere else. Now, I'm willing to place this here, so I will use this with the partition wall type. Let's just place the smaller one. And in that case, the software actually allows me to place it with its right-hand side, let's say that. As you can see, I'm moving this door with that little orange dot inside the wall. So to be able to snap between those points, to be able to place it with the other side perhaps, I can use the F5 key on the keyboard. See, now I'm grabbing it with the center and now with the top. So if you keep pushing sometimes the F5, you can actually cycle through these reference points, we call them.
So could you be adding a value right now if you want to position it from the corner till the left-hand side frame? What would you do?
Yes, well, let's just place it first, because that's the easiest way. You just place it and then it appears. And then you need to set up the opening direction. Let's say it is opening inwards to the right. And then I'm repeating the same thing, but this time I will use what you told. Let's see, if you move the mouse and you keep your eyes on this little orange marker, you will see there's a value on the right hand side, which is 806 now. So if I would like to determine what's that distance on that side, I just type it. It's 250, for example, and enter, and then the software places it over there. And still, the last step will be the opening direction. So when I'm satisfied with the orange symbol, how it looks like, then I just simply click once and then the software places it. Now, well, this is when you know the values, but sometimes you just sketch the building and then you change several values like the width, the height, in case of the windows, the sill height. So to be able to demonstrate that, actually I should place a window as well. So I will place a window here. I will use the window tool, and it's the same. You will see the built-in basic door and window shapes with the full library. And also there's the placing window tool, which behaves quite similar. You can select, now I'm actually placing a roof window. We will talk about that later. but I would like to place something like, for example, this one, a narrow door, I mean a narrow window, or a little taller one. So this is the preview that helps me to easily find which is the shape that I'm willing to place. So let's say this is something that I would like to place over here in a certain distance. So this should be 400 from the left hand side, because that was the orange marker's position, and enter, and then I'm here. Now in case of a window, the software won't ask for an opening direction. And there is an interesting thing here. When you move your mouse, there you can see that little text telling me it's internal. That's the internal side of the window.
Yes.
So this is how you can determine where the window is going to open, outside or inside, based on this setting.
Are these things that you can override later on? Talking about,
Yes.
for instance, the opening direction. And another thing that comes to mind is the sill height, which we haven't defined for the windows. How can you access this value? How can you change this value?
Yeah, all these things are designed with the default value. Let me just zoom in and find this door. We are working with this one. I believe it's here. That's it. So when I'm customizing this, I can do this either in the 3D or I can do that in the 2D. Whichever I'm changing, the rest will change. I mean, these are interconnected. We are talking about the BIM model. So when I change the symbol, it changes the item itself. So let's say I'm willing to change the width of the door, for example. It will be quite obvious on the 2D and in the 3D. So I just click here and I type, for example, 900. That's a quite specific value here in this country. So let's say this is what I would like to do. I can also change the position. If I know that, well, I should change it because of the discussions we made. It should be, I don't know, 1,800 millimeters from the left hand side, and I just retype it, and it repositions the whole thing. There is one another thing which is a tiny value here, which I can demonstrate only if this door or window is in a thicker wall, that I will demonstrate it here.
I think that one would be good for this.
Yeah, so when I select it, I can do the same thing. I can change the width, I can change the height, and there is this tiny value. This tiny value here actually is the distance of this line and this line. This is what we call, the left hand side, you can see this is the distance from wall line. This is where the window plane, let's say, is positioned from the wall plane. This is the distance between the two. So let me change it so we can see how it looks like. This should be, for example, 50, half the
So
the
now
original.
it comes closer to the inside.
Yeah, so it's coming closer. This is actually the distance between the placement plane and the window. So to change it back, I just write it again to 100, and then it changes the position. So this is how you can do that.
What about the sill height?
The sill height is this value here. The default value in the software is usually 900. That means the sill height is the, that's the sill height from the floor of the window. That's the bottom of the window. So if you would like to change it, you can just click here and change it to another value, which is much better for that specific country or region where you design these windows. Or actually, we can say that this type of window is from the floor, then it's 0. Then it starts from 0, because usually we think of the 0 level as the floor level.
Going back to the door that we have over here, how do we change the opening direction?
The opening direction, well, this thing can be changed to at least two ways. One is the opening direction. Whenever you click on a door, you will be able to see a tiny symbol. These are two triangles for mirroring. If you click on that one, you will be able to see those mirroring options. One is the mirror option, which actually mirrors the door for the wall. So now it's opening outwards. And there is another one with the same symbol. You will be able to change the left-right option. So see the opening, the handle is jumping to the other side, and obviously the symbol as well. So this way, even when you change your mind later, you can easily flip the door over or change the opening direction. And well, we will talk about that later as well. But you can easily actually design a custom door which features the totally same things.
Yes. Is it possible to physically open the door now in 3D? For instance, if you want to create a render or anything, then we can just open it up.
Yes, I just flipped it over because this way we
can see what's going on.
We can easily see what happens. So what I do now, I just click on this door, and then either in 2D or 3D, and then I will be able to find an opening angle option. This is something that I changed, for example, to 65. So I won't completely open it. I just open it a little bit, and then this is how it looks like. It's good. It's a good feature for the visuals as well, or for the when you create, you know, the VR panoramic 360 panoramas. Yes. All these things we'll show this door as an open feature.
What can you tell us about the material settings?
The material settings are based on the door type. Some of the doors feature only 1 or 2 materials, but perhaps the doors with the glazing, you can also obviously customize the glazing itself. Should you have threshold or something like that, in that case the threshold can be customized as well. But whatever the door is, modifying a door is going through the same principle. You just select the door and you go and add it with the little pencil. That's a modify button. With the modify button you will be able to reach the door properties. The generic properties, you can do all the same customization that you could do with the blue markers, and find the sill height, for example, if this would be a window. And there is the solid, and in this case there is only a solid and a wing. The solid is actually the frame and the wing is this material. So this is what you can change. I will actually do this later in a session when we make the door based on a photograph. I will use these values, but for now it's good to know that all the settings are here. The rest, like the representation, reveal, basic geometry and everything else, even the sill settings are all here. You will be able to customize all those settings.
Another thing that comes to mind is that, maybe not for this example, but what happens if you just want to have a hole but you don't want to have a door wing in it? How do you create that?
Oh, well, okay. Well, I will demonstrate it here, but yes, this is not the best place to keep an opening here, but it's a very simple thing. You just select the door and go to the properties, and there is an option at the very top of this list, which is the hide opening and make a void. This is how it will look like. It's actually just making an opening here. It's very good for open spaces. Now, in case you have 2 rooms separated with a wall and with an opening here with a lintel on top, this is what you will use. In case there is actually no opening, there's just 2 walls having a gap between, then you can just model it with 2 walls with a gap inside, with having a break inside. But in case you have a lintel at the top of the opening, you will use the door or a window perhaps.
That's great, but now let's look at how do we create additional new openings. Because as you have showed us, there's a built-in library in which you can find most things that you might be looking for. But what happens if you want to create something extra what is not currently in the software? What kind of options do we have available?
Well, which one should we start with first? There are plenty of you.
What about using an object which was created in another software?
In another software. Okay, let's just find. We actually have a few of those items. Let me just open it and find the proper one. Please just help me to find the library where we store those. We downloaded a few objects. There is an RFA file we have downloaded earlier, which contains an industrial door. We downloaded an SKP file as well, which can be used for our purposes, and we will demonstrate how to create a door out of a photograph. So now, first things first, we will start with an RFA file. When you have an RFA file, what we have here, it's on this other screen, so let me just bring it back and see what we have here. It's this one. So I just click and drag and release it on the drawing. So now what happens, it is automatically saving this previous project and opens the so-called sketch mode. It's an editor mode of the software when something is imported like this, or an IFC file. Let's just go with the OK. I can't find the mouse. Yeah, it's here. So you just click on OK. Then the software opens it and tells you what to do. I will do that, so I won't do it from scratch. But what you need to do is just to select parts that you would like to remove.
Yes.
For example, in this case, the software actually features a feature called the multiple representations and the lintel, or the framing that this door by default features. I don't need that, so I will also remove that. I don't want to visualize this, and I don't want to visualize.
Should we just go with the door wing, or you want to have the whole thing?
Well, we can go with the door wing as well. But now, to be able to easily place it, I will use it as it is. But as you can see, you can break it down. You can do whatever you want with this. Now, the last step to be able to use this as a door is to turn it into a door. This is still an object broke into little pieces that you somehow need to tell the software that this is actually a door. I would like to place it into a wall. So to do that, you will go and find the tools to be able to turn it into a door.
Building.
Yeah. So when you use this, this is the new door option. In that case, you can select what you have here. Yes. Actually, the software automatically generates the 2D. If I would create the 2D symbol, I can load it from the library. We have another session, and actually next week we will talk about 2D symbols as well. Yes. So if you already have a 2D symbol, you can load it here, or you can just accept the top view. And then you can tell the software that actually the door is from these points. All the rest is actually just kind of an extension of the door. The door knob is not part of the door body, the bounding box.
Why do you have to do this? Why don't you just slap this object onto the wall?
Because this way I tell the software that this blue side and the other side, these are the left and the right side. As you can tell, that there's this little tiny symbol telling you what to do, and there's this little sticky little part which is the front of the door. This is an arrow kind of pointing to the direction where the front of the door is. So what I do now, I just set up the opening type. I snap these points to the corners, and then I just click OK. And then I save it somehow. Let's just say this is door swing, just keep it until like this, and save it like webinar, okay, webinar. So I will be able to find it easily. So let's just add O2. And
we might have another one already.
Yeah, we might have one. And then I keep it in my own category. I can select all the rest of the categories. I keep it in my category, and I can create a subcategory. And if I know the producer, I can just add the producer. And the important thing here, if I know any sort of beam parameters that I wanted to add or change, I can find them here. And even more importantly, when you import an IFC or an RFA file, those already contain IFC,
it comes with this data. That's right. So it comes with the data.
These were all part of the door
that the manufacturer had specified. But now what we are doing, we are going to save this into a library element of ours for later use. And like you said, you would be able to insert it into the wall, and the wall would be cut appropriately. So what do we do then?
Now I close the sketch mode. This means I can close editing, go back to the previous project where I left off, and then because I already saved this into my library with this webinar 02 name, I will be able to find in my libraries, and then I will be able to place it somewhere on my drawing. So let's just remove this door and add this new door into this position. So I will go and find my door in the door libraries. It was in my library, and I believe I saved it into other perhaps. So we actually have quite a few.
There you go.
And there's the one that we created. So I just click and place and release, and then I can select how I would like to place it from the wall endpoint, and let's just place it perhaps somewhere over here. Now I'm actually having a value that is, let me just flip it over. This should be like this. Yeah. So now I have a door with the framing and with everything else that was part of the original drawing, but now the position is wrong.
The distance from wall line is the one.
Yeah, this is the which is by default 100, but in the case of a partition wall, it should be perhaps 0. So this way I can position it.
Perfect. That was one example. So that's when you have an object, but sometimes you don't have the luxury of having an object. Maybe you have to work with the image. But why would you use an image anyway?
Sometimes, like for example, in case I can't find the object, but I have a photograph of that door. In that case, sometimes it's just easier to find an image or take an image of that door, edit it a little bit. I will show you a very basic editing feature here, and then apply that into a door onto a door surface. Let me just go downstairs. There is a door on the right-hand side. This is what I will try to turn into something else. And what I prepared previously is a photograph of a door. I downloaded it from a manufacturer's website, and it's on the library, in the libraries, and I have these here. I've collected all those things. So you can get an idea of what sort of images you can imagine to turn into a door. Like, for example, all those carvings here are things that I don't want to model. I actually we don't even have the surface modeling features to make them easily. This is a BIM software. So instead of hiring someone to model it, I can just simply use the model. Or I can find other options. I will actually go with this one because this is quite simple, but I still don't have it in my own library, so I just would like to use it.
But you could be creating them, but the point is to be fast with your design and efficient. That if you don't need at this point of the project, you don't need this level of detail, then you can just use an image for that.
Yeah, that's right. So now I have this image. It's loaded. I mean, it's in the library, and I can just click and drag and release it in my drawing. Let's just place it somewhere, and then I can turn this into an image that I can use. What do I mean? When I select this, as you can see, there is quite a lot of white space around the image. Now, I can't use this image as a material here because I don't want to see those white space appearing around. So I just would like to first crop the image to the proper size. So what I can do is, after placing the image into ARCHLine, use the ARCHLine image editor tools, which is here in the clip image, and I just use this option. There's quite a lot other, but I just use this one. And then now the software represents the image boundaries, which I can click on, and then I can just move here. Like, see, this is a pixel image. That's why it's when you zoom in, it becomes blurry at the edges.
Don't you have to first make the image as big as the door that you want to use it on, or? No,
not really, because you can later determine that as a setting of the material. It's good that if you do that, but if it's not an essential thing to do. So I will actually completely skip that part. I just move this, try to find, and take care, you should not finish the placement like this, because as you can see, there is a very thin white line. It won't appear nicely on the image. So you just move inside a little bit to be able to cut it right inside the wooden part of the door image. Now I'm done with this. I think it's okay, so I just hit enter, and now the software cropped the image. When I select it, I can easily tell that now it's a cropped version of the original image.
What do you do then?
To be able to use this, I need to turn it into a material. Now a material, when you have an image, any sort of image can be turned into a material using this local menu again, and there's the save option, save as material. Now in that case, you can tell that this will be frosted glass interior door. Okay, let's just add webinar here as well to keep it easy. Webinar, and it will be 003. And this is a material, so it goes to my material category and the other material category. And then I say, okay, this is still a material, this is not a door. To apply this material on an existing door, now I'm actually finding that material in the catalog, here at the left-hand side in the design center. And well, if I know what was the name of the material, I just look for that, webinar. Those are all these, we actually tested all the rest as well. So I just click and drag into the 3D, and I use this, I just actually would like to replace the material of this door with this one that I use. So I click here and I replace it, and it's actually done. One thing that I could do here is now the software applies this same material on the frames as well, and sometimes it's not good. Sometimes it's not good. In that case, you can go into the settings, and just as we discussed before, you can change the solid material to something else. I just keep it gray for now, but you can actually customize it the way you want. Well, actually, sorry, that's a translucent material now. It's better, and I could just use that one, and then now it appears like that.
Perfect. What happens if you don't want to use an object and you don't have an image, but you have measurements and you know exactly the dimensions of the door that you want to work with? How do you create something in your library based on exact dimensions?
Well, now what I will do is I will try to quickly sketch a real model of a door like that, using a few values and using a feature called the door wizard. The ARCHLine.XP comes with a door modeler, which allows you to model doors based on basic prototypes. So how that works, you go to the building, And actually the same thing we actually have a similar thing to this in case of the windows. So now I'm talking about the door wizard, but we actually have a window wizard the same way. I just click on the new door option, and there is the door wizard option. The door wizard is a scheme-based door wizard that allows you to select the basic prototype, how it in a general shape it looks like. Now I know I have a very simple door with one wing, so I will go with this one. And then I can set up the main parameters, the width, the height, the representation type, and so on. Mm-hmm. And then what I'm interested in now is the inset here.
How do you make three of them?
Now I can find this inset option here. See, when I'm disabling and enabling it, this is how it goes. And then I go and customize this one. And this should be around, let's say, I just customize it to change it to 700 from the left, refresh. So now I have an arrow version of that. And to add the new one, I need to click here and add the new one with new parameters. Now this will be something 450 and 450. Let's just see how it goes. Okay, I need to customize the frame, but I will go back to customize that later on. And then I add the new one, and this will be, I think it should be, what was it, 700 from the right, so this will be 700 from the left, like that. So all I need is to make them similar to these. So those are the inset edge profiles. You can actually fully customize how the edge is created. You can go to the libraries to find new profiles. You can even design your own cross-section profile. Now we'll just keep it simple to give you the concept, the idea. This is what I have here. I have 1, 2, 3 different insets profiles with 1, 2, 3 different settings that I can set up. So when I have the first one, I can see it has a specific values profile with 20. Then I apply the same thing here at the second one. It should be 20. And I go to the third one, and that should also be 20. And when I click on refresh, then the software refreshes it with those settings. So all those little tiny details you can set up, even with the materials, the cross sections. I just kept it simple for now, and then I will save it.
That's exactly what I wanted to ask you, because I don't not only want to use it now, but I want to use it later on. Do I save it into a style, or what do I do?
Well, this actually happens the same way. When we had an RFA-based door, we saved it into the library. That's the same thing that you can do here. You click on the little save icon at the end, and then you can tell that you would like to save. Like this is an internal wooden door with 3 insets or something like that. Insets, yeah. And then set up a category. This will go into the my library, and this will be an other library. Well, actually, you can just select one from here, or you can just type value. And again, if it's a producer, if you have BIM parameters that you would like to add, you can add them here. And then let's say, okay, now it's saved. Okay, it's created. Yeah, well, yeah, I just overwrite it. And then I can place this somewhere, or I can just exchange the one that I already have here.
How do you do that?
By going into the settings, going to the flush to reach the libraries, and instead of the single library in indoor, I need to find my library, the other library, and there was this this one that I've created.
When you select another door type, yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you. It asks you if you want to keep these previously set dimensions, and that's what you go with now.
Which is very convenient, but sometimes you might find yourself in a situation when the new, well, for example, there is a door with several divisions, but the old door was too narrow to be able to host all the divisions. In that case, you will lose some of the divisions automatically, or you will get a prompt message that something is wrong with the door. But in this case, I just say yes, I would like to apply it. And well, actually, this is perhaps the situation that I was just talking about, when it's not being able to represent the door as it was because of some geometrical settings. So I just discard it, and then I will use it in another situation.
Just recap before we move on to other topics that we want to discuss, being the curtain walls and the corner windows. What are the sources for creating a new door? So we used an image. We used measurement data, and that's how we created the one with the door wizard. And we used external objects, which could be SKP,
OBJ perhaps, RFA, so anything that comes as an object, as a 3D body, can be turned into a door and window. Keep that in mind that not all the versions of the software might feature, for example, the built-in 3D warehouse, the built-in BIM libraries. So if you have a version that hosts no features like that, you will still be able to go to the file and import option and find all those supported file types that you can import into the software and then turn them into a real door or window, which will be part of the documentation from that point on.
Now on to the next topic, which is actually curtain walls and corner windows. So this is a very specialized tool set in ARCHLine. Can you tell us why?
Well, the door, I mean, the curtain wall itself is something that you can easily create, turning a full wall into a wooden or steel plus glazed surface feature with divisions and all sorts of other settings. How that goes, let me just go to the top of this building, I mean to the following floor, and for example remove this one and show you one feature how it can be designed perhaps. One thing, again, it is in the building library and it is with the curtain wall settings. Now if you right click on any of those, you can predefine how this item will be generated, what will be the width, the height, and how all the rest of the settings will generate a structure like this. But once you go to the commands, you will be able to find the one that you would like to create. There is a curtain wall tool with a curtain wall by 2 points, a corner window, we will talk about that later, reshape a curtain wall. So if you just simply would like to design one, you just go with the first one and it behaves like drawing a wall.
Oh, so it's the same tool set, it just looks different.
Yeah, and now the 2D is correct, but the 3D perhaps needs some cleaning up. In that case, you either have the option to go here and change the sill height, for example, to 0, or you can also have the option to click on any of those markers and instead of changing the height, I don't know the height now exactly, so in that case I click here and click on change height and I snap it to something that exists already there, and then I have this 3D feature appearing. The divisions and the materials, how it looks like, are all part of the settings, so you go to the details and you will be able to find them inside the representation, reveal settings, and the basic geometry. This is how it looks like. For example, if I would like to remove a few glasses and just change the number of divisions horizontally, then this is how it will look like.
I see.
You can fully customize it, and you can even set up so-called rhythm to this, how it repeats itself in a specific pattern, like 200 division, 300, and then 200 and 300, and so on. This keeps repeating.
Yes, and you would be able to host an opening in that.
Yes, that's
meaning
right.
a door or window.
Just as we have this here at the bottom, here in this case. And in that case, it is also interesting to talk about another feature, which is with the local menu, and there's the edit layout. The edit layout is it might be familiar for you, those who already used these features in case of the for example, the tiling of the software,
or the railing,
or for example, in case of reshaping the wall shape or something like that. Those are all the same. So what we see here is a layout of that specific item.
Not that one, because that one came from the first floor.
Yeah, sorry, that's you're right. Thank you. So this is the one at the top, but I just wanted to add it and jump back down to the ground floor here. And then if I click here and select the edit layout, then I can see the layout with the door itself, which is very handy, because in that case I can click here, move this one and snap it to the top of the door, and then I have that here in the 3D. So this way you can add new divisions, millions, someone call it that way, or any sort of new patterns you can design and add to that glass surface.
Perfect. And now we are getting to the more complex forms and shapes, and that brings us to corner windows. So why are they special?
The corner windows, and for that I will first show you an end result that we have already here, is a specific window type when actually you have two sometimes similar, but sometimes even the structure is different, window that connects at the corner But if you just would like to create something like that by default, there is always a little tiny wall piece at the corner. Let me just demonstrate how that would by default go if I would like to create something like that. So I go one floor upstairs here, and yeah, with the 2D as well. So I will place 2 new windows here. And again, let me just show you one tool that I use quite a lot of times, because I like that when I would like to create something that is already existing on the drawing, but I did not save it into the libraries, or I did not create a style, I can use the create similar tool. You can just select that here, and you can tell the software that you would like to create something similar like you already have. And then you click on that, and you can just place the same window into the corner. And this is what I talked about. When you place it here, there's always a wall in the corner, because this is how by default you place it. So to be able to turn them into corner windows, you will use a specific tool called the window and windows on wall corner and joining them.
Yes.
This is what you will select, and then you click on the first one and you click on the second one. Keep that in mind that now this is the position where I have this window.
So they're not lining up nicely, but now the windows moved.
Those are snapped. So now the software didn't change the size of the windows, it just snapped them together, it connected them, made the connection in the corner, which can be customized. And then I have the option to either keep it that way, because this is what I wanted, or I can actually resize the window. This is something that we didn't discuss yet.
Yes.
You can move the window, you can flip it around, you can change the window type, but you can actually click on the corner as well and change the size, either by typing a value or just snapping it to an existing drawing part. And I know it was there originally, so I just click here, and then I create the new window shape as it is now.
Yes, perfect. We might return to this issue later on because of the questions that we are being asked. Now let's talk about even more specialized shapes, because in the beginning you mentioned that we started drawing a roof window.
Yes.
Now we are going to return
right.
to that issue again, and we talk about roof windows. But my question is, why do we need to talk about this separately? How are they different from regular windows?
Well, actually there is one single difference, and that's how you place them. And a little bit how they behave, because once you have a roof shape, I just jump to the roof floor where I can select the roof itself with the roof window. The roof window itself is, for the first sight, it's nothing special. It has a width, it has a height. It also even have a sill height, and it's nothing fancy. There is one difference. You can actually check how it connects to the roof surface. And there is one another thing, is that you should be able to to find them in the roof window type. So that's the specific part of the roof window, that windows coming from the roof window library are behaving as roof windows in the roof as well. So that's what I'm doing. I just keep repeating this, and I just go back to the building window, and there is this one. Either I go with this one or I go with the roof window command.
Yes.
And in that case, I can select and customize what I have here.
The dimensions should be good.
Yeah, dimensions are okay. Sill height is also okay.
Do we even care about the sill height now, or?
Well, now yes, but sometimes when you process a DWG file and you don't know the sill height, there is another option. I will show you that as well. So now I say I know the sill height, but let's see how it goes. So when I click OK, and I select the roof shape, then I can place it. And now, as you can see, it moves along this little purple line. That's the sill height.
Oh, that's the 900 millimeters.
Yeah, but if I don't know the sill height, I can use the free option to freely place it anywhere on this plane. But now let's just snap it together with the other one. Yeah, perhaps I just selected the wrong spot, so I just place it here. So in that case, the software generates and creates this one.
Just over a wall, but
yeah, it's over a wall, but
you get the idea.
But after that, I can just simply move it around. This actually works the same way. You can select the window and you can move it, and you can even make the several floors transparent to each other, so you will be able to see where to place them.
That's right. What about free positioning?
Free positioning of this one?
Yes, of the roof window, because now we are bound to the 900 millimeters. What happens if you just want to position it freely? Maybe there are already some two-dimensional lines onto which we want to align it. Maybe
Yeah.
somewhere there.
Yeah, well, in that case, this whole thing goes the same way. You select the roof window, and I started it in the 2D, so I need to click on the roof edge to be able to select the shape itself, then select the same settings. Still, I have the sill height, but I won't use it, so I just say OK. And instead of placing it here, I just use the free option and move it somewhere and snap it, for example, to that point. And this is how you can place it.
Talking about specialized opening elements, let's talk about shutters, because that's
Okay.
something that you wouldn't know how to position or where to start with. Is it something that belongs to the windows? Should you position them as objects? What are the words of wisdom for that?
Okay, so let's place it next to, for example, this tiny sliding door here. For example, let's just place one here.
Yes.
So to be able to place it there, I need to know the size of this object, which is 2100. That's the height. And perhaps I will just use the half, which is 800 for the width for the shutter. But it's actually just something that you can customize later on. Two things. Again, this is some command that you can start either from the 2D or in the 3D. Now I started from the 2D, and then I go and try to find these things. These are actually in the objects, and when you just find a shutter, and you will be able to find quite a few things, perhaps other objects as well if you save them with those names, but you will be able to find shutters. For example, if you go with this one and you double click on it before placement, you can set the height, you can set the width. Those are already quite okay.
Yes.
And then you can set up the frame materials. Now what you see here, this is not just the width height, but there are also other parameters here. And this is what we call the parametric objects. ARCHLine comes with parametric objects that you can customize with all those parameters that you can see here. Let's just change the frame material. That was, I think we used a gray material quite a lot here, so I will just go with this anthracite gray, and then I just use the same thing in with the frame material, with the internal material, with the blades, and let's just go with that one. It was anthracite, right? So
yes, at least now you can show how to look this up. What does stop here for a second, what does the orange triangle mean?
Yeah, this means that this is a copy of a material that I originally had somewhere in the software, and it is used in my model. So actually it's in my model library. So this is the used one that I already applied. So I just go with that one. So I like this, for example, and let's just go with an OK, and then snap it to the door. Sometimes if it falls into the wall, then you will be able to snap it over, or you can just place it someplace else and then make changes for the 2D symbols. Now it's okay. I can move it. I can change the position. It behaves just as an object would behave. You can use those translators to be able to move it around and in front of the door, for example.
So much about designing, but now it's time to get some numerical data out of the openings. And I'm thinking of mainly two things: the lists that we can create and the schedules.
Yeah.
Can you show us both?
Okay, let's start with the Excel list first. The Excel list is a command that you can start. You can find in the documentation, and that's called the quantity takeoff. The quantity takeoff is having all those features here, generating information from rooms, building parts, and so on. Also in some versions for the interior calculations. I will go with the building calculations now, and then I disable everything now, and I only would like to collect the information of the openings. And I will ignore all the rest, but you can actually enable all other options at the bottom of the screen, and you can just go with OK. And then the software will save it as an XLSX file. This will be a consignation of openings. Yeah, and then I just save it. Now, if you have
Microsoft Excel
enabled on your computer. Let me just hit OK here, and then it is saved on my computer. Let me just start it here. It was where did I save it exactly? Yeah, it was this one. Yeah, we have a wrong
yes,
connection between the XLSX
we have a
files.
PDF writer or viewer attached to reading the XLSX files, but we're just going to
So
open
let me
up
just open
manually.
Excel.
The point is that if you have Excel enabled and if you have set up your computer that the Excel files will be opened with this software automatically, then that's what is going to appear. And what are we going to see in the Excel list?
The Excel list features all the data in a table with tiny images. Perhaps it is failing to open. Sorry for that. We will cover this in another session. It's
Let's
somehow
talk about
not
the
opening,
sections now.
but we will talk about that in case of the schedule. What you would see in an Excel file is the information of the data, width, height, geometrical data collected, and then you will be able to use that for calculations. This is what you see in an Excel file.
One issue with the Excel files is that once you saved it, you are not able to update it. You have to update the whole file. You have to save it again. But we have a tool for that in ARCHLine, in which you can get numerical data out, and that data would be in dynamic connection with your model. How does that work?
Yeah, I will place a schedule. This is the schedule what we talk about. I will place a schedule next to the building using the door schedule option. This is something. It's a rich feature with a very nice customization ability possibility. We won't cover all those details. We have another session about that.
That's right.
I just use the door schedule as it is. So I just go with OK, and then I just accept again everything, and then I place this next to the drawing as actually part of the drawing. Now this is something similar that you would see in the Excel file, but in this case it's not a separate file, it's part of the project.
What does that mean?
So this means that actually all these items are listed from this project and are also connected with the project. So when I would like to find which exactly this door is on my drawing, then I can just click on it, and the software will find it for me and point to that part of the drawing. Now, this is collected for the ground floor, for the first floor, with all the data, and you can also change the size of that door, and then it will change the door itself also in the 2D as well. So now this is what you can see. I'm just finding those doors and windows. And once I find one, let's say this one.
Let's say that you had a meeting regarding the project and you have to change that. So what do you do?
Yeah, in that case, I will change this one, this value, which is, for example, 1,400. I hope there's enough space for that.
It fits.
Yeah. So when I do that, it updates the list as well. I believe it jumped here, and then it also updates the drawing itself. See, now it updated the 2D as well.
So the point here is that the model has direct connection with the table, so that way you can refresh things back and forth.
Yeah, except the Excel file is a one-direction connection. The schedule is a bi-directional connection between the data and the drawing itself. Yeah.
On to the questions, because we have quite a few. So let's see what we have here.
Yeah.
How can I make a corner window without a mullion on the corner? I think that is possible. Question is when you would do that. But maybe if you could just show how the mullion is created and what is the logic behind it.
Well, this mullion here is a setting of either this or the other window itself. When those are connected, the software automatically generates that, and then it tells you that, for example, in this case, it is part of this one. Well, it's easy to tell because it gets selected with the one.
Ah, yes.
So when you go there and you click on the item, see, there's actually a tiny R and then a tiny L. So this will be part of the left-hand side. So I go there, and I will be able to find it in the settings. It's the
yes, it's the built-in details.
Sorry, yeah, it's the built-in details. Yeah, so it's part of the left-hand side. There's the mullion with this material. So this is where actually you can turn it off. I won't do that because there will be a gap between the two.
But you can change the mullion because it's generated based on a cross-section profile. So if you want to give it another mullion, maybe something that extrudes to the outside, then you can do it right here.
Yeah, in that case, instead of a rectangular cross-section, you can go with a profile cross-section, and you can actually select another cross-section, or you can even draw another cross-section, save it. We will cover that on the following session.
Yes.
How to create 2D symbols and 2D profiles, and then you can use it here as as well.
Another one, is there a way to combine two windows and save them as one window in the library? That's actually pretty similar to what we have did with the objects. So what you have to do, you have to just slap windows to each other and save them. But that reminds me of a very good feature, because Ilyich already showed you how to add openings to walls. But what happens if you just want to use an opening which is not hosted by a wall? Is it possible?
Yeah, you can treat those things as objects, all the doors and windows. By default, they are always hosted items. But if you would like to make them non-hosted, in that case, you either choose the door or the window, and you can use the door not hosted by a wall. In that case, you will get a warning. Yeah, it won't be connected, but in that case, you can place it somewhere on your drawing.
Yes.
Let me just place it here, floating out of the drawing itself.
Yes, it just
and then
floats in the air.
will see something like it looks like an object.
Yes.
And it has no connection with anything, so you can freely place it anywhere. And then if you do this, you can place another one next to it,
Yes.
and then save them as an object, and then turn. There is an option which is similar
The same
to
thing that we used,
how we
yes.
use the RFA item. You can turn an object into a door, which
Yes.
is in that case will be a combination of two separate door body. One thing to mention here, that most of the doors in ARCHLine, even the door wizard doors, are something that you can open. If you use an object, that will create a door that can't be opened, because in that case the logic is simply missing from the object, where the hinges are and how to operate that thing.
Yes.
It will be kind of a frozen version of a door body, but it will still behave and listed as a door
That's right.
or a window.
And that's actually what we had time today to discuss. Obviously, if you want to get more into modeling, then you can create more customized openings.
Yeah.
But never forget that designing is as much about time as about anything else. So you have to be very efficient with what you do. That's why you would be, for instance, using images to signify
right.
doors,
That's right.
as opposed to modeling everything. So that's what we had time for today, and next time we are going to talk about, as Ilyich mentioned briefly, groups and profiles, because almost everything in our software is based on either of those. So we are going to learn how to create and how to utilize two-dimensional groups and profiles,
That's
and
right.
we learn what the differences are between the two concepts.
Yeah.
That's what we wanted
So
to
see you next
discuss
time.
today. So see you next Wednesday. If you like the show, like us and subscribe to the videos so you would never miss another show like that. See you next Wednesday.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.